This is just after I said that whole thing about Johnny Carson.
So I'm Melinda McKinsey.
I'm Tom Wise.
You're going to unpack some shit with us
Yes.
today. And we're very excited because we have a very interesting guest, Adrienne Lopez, co-author of To Love, Honor, and Betray. And we're also very excited because I heard a rumor that Tom is now an official quiz master.
Yes, it's true. I'm surprised it's, not all over the internet, but I'm ready to take on my official quizmaster duties, running some sort of quiz at some sort of trivia quiz at some sort of country club. The gentleman I've been working with is my contact. He's not the boss, but he's kind of like behind the scenes. He said he's been working since Christmas to try to get a deal cobbled together.
What?
I go, all right, whatever.
Tell everybody what a quiz master is. I mean, I think most of us have heard, but
Well, it's an important position. It's not nothing, that's for sure. And I saw it pop up in one of those Facebook jobs.
Yeah.
And I was intrigued by the types of things that they have on the Facebook jobs. Also encouraged that it looks like, the economy started to kick up and people are looking for people to help. But it was like to run a trivia show Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday within 20 minutes of where you live. I go, well, that sounds like fun.
That's nice. And you don't come up with your own trivia, right? It's
no, somebody sends it to me. They send me the cards. I make it literally a couple of dollars, maybe a free beer. I go, I could do that on Tuesday night. That sounds like fun.
Yeah. So do you get a certificate that says you're an official quiz master, or how does that work?
I don't know. I think they just decide that you're done. So it was more, I did 3 shows with one lady, and then they had me do a full show with a gentleman. And he was like, oh, all right. Yeah, you're doing good. He goes, most people get screwed up with the timing and the entering of the, whether the person is right or wrong.
Oh, okay.
You have to run
do you ever
Excel.
have debates about that? If you give the answer, is there a lot of infighting?
No, but see, okay, then they hand me a slip of paper. It's kind of an interesting behind the scenes. I don't know if maybe it's a whole nother book. Behind the scenes of trivia at country clubs. Okay. They get a slip of paper about the size of a business card, and they've got to give the answer, and then they've got to associate a number 1, 3, 5, or 7, depending upon the strength of that answer.
Oh,
it's a nice bend to trivia.
Yeah.
So if he's right, he gets 7 points. If they're wrong, they get nothing regardless. But it's interesting. And you only can use that number one time in the 4 questions that I ask.
Okay.
All answers are final. And
I love trivia nights. I think trivia night is so much fun.
Yeah, the people have a blast. I became part of a group, and I was out there 3 times, and these guys, where are you going to go? Because we want to come, support your trivia, whatever.
Yeah,
it's all fun. No,
that sounds great. Well, in honor of today, I did look up some statistics of different types of cheating because there's a lot of ways you can cheat.
Excellent. So this is a how-to book.
This is yes, I'm teaching you, but there are things that I wasn't aware of because research has shown before couples get married, most couples have never had the conversation about what being monogamous means.
I think you're right. I think that most folks assume that they know what cheating is. You get that little feeling in your heart or head. It's like, yes. I wouldn't like this if my partner was doing this.
Right. But now I had gotten married very young before I was later happily divorced, but I didn't sit down with my partner and said, okay, this is all cheating. I guess when I was younger, I just assumed a lot of things I shouldn't have assumed.
I concur. It's an interesting thing.
Well, here's what they're saying, Tom, because there were some things I was unaware of. We know about emotional cheating.
Right.
You're going to go to somebody else instead of your partner, which kind of leads later to physical cheating because you're connecting up here, right? Cyber cheating. Yeah, we get that. Now, when I had gotten married, there was no cyber cheating because there was no cyber. And so we didn't have that distraction of people going online. So I could see where that'd be a very easy thing that someone online seems a lot more enticing because they say all the things.
Of course. I mean, yeah. Oh, I'd treat you like a queen. Your husband, he's an idiot. So there you go.
And just like that show Catfish, people have fallen in love with people that don't even exist just based on the words they're sending back and forth. They're not even real people. But Tom, there's a thing called object cheating, which I had never heard of. And I made up in my mind what I thought it was. And it wasn't exactly.
Well, do tell. I have a couple ideas.
Object cheating is when someone finds something outside of their marriage, like going online or playing basketball, that they put above the relationship, and they use that as an escape. And that's their object that they focus on instead of focusing on the marriage.
Oh, I could see that being a problem.
Yeah. And it's something I've never called it that, but I get it, where we're like, well, why is he always, playing golf when he could spend time with you?
Exactly. Because I'm not cheating on you with a woman. I'm not cheating with you on a man. I just enjoy my book club. And right. It's like, okay, well, we all know everybody has to work. Hey, I got to go away for the weekend. It's all business. So that's all part of the deal. But when you choose to spend time outside the relationship, which is a significant piece of your time, then that's an interesting thing to think about. Because I've always been a big fan of, you do your thing, I do my thing, and we do our thing. But my thing can't just take up all the available time.
Right. And I could see where a lot of fights come before that, when it comes from that, because you're like, why would you rather get up and go golf when you could be in bed with me, or we could go spend time together? So I thought that was interesting.
So my ideas for object cheating was not what you just said.
Okay. I thought it was something else too. There's also financial cheating, when you lie about your finances and you hide.
You're hiding. I got 16 grand in a foreign account.
That's a really, really big deal.
Yep.
They said, that you're heading down the wrong road when you start keeping secrets on any level.
Yes, I concur.
Which I think people have a tendency to do when they're upset with someone, right? Like, oh, that's a way of almost punishment. Like, well, I'm not going to tell you, but I'll tell, oh, look, Bob's online.
Yeah, if you start confiding in idiots online versus that idiot you're married to, then we got trouble.
Yes. No, you're exactly right.
I have a question.
Yes.
All right. You're married.
Yes.
Your husband's been away for 2 years in the service.
Okay.
Comes home sporadically.
Uh-huh.
You're sexually frustrated.
Okay.
You go to a massage parlor.
Okay.
For a release. Is that cheating?
I go to the massage parlor for sexual release.
Yeah, they're going to manually stimulate you.
I would say yes. I will tell you this. I think it's interesting you brought that up, because when I got divorced after many years of marriage, one of the things I did do for myself was I actually joined somewhere there in Clearwater, one of those massage places, so I could get touched in a healthy way.
Yes.
Because I thought I was going to miss that, and I didn't want to rush into a physical thing. So I made sure I wasn't interested in sexual stuff at that point, because I was very hurt. My personal opinion is, yes, if anyone goes to a massage parlor and gets sexually manipulated, I would consider that cheating. What
about your husband who's in Saudi Arabia? He hasn't had sex with anyone, but he has an opportunity to go get a massage.
And again, be sexually manipulated?
Yes.
Yes, I would think that's cheating for everybody. As soon as it goes sexual,
all right,
I think it's cheating. Now, if you have an agreement with your partner, some partners have different, then have at it, right? I think
absolutely. Agreement is everything. Adrienne's here.
Great. I'm very excited to have her introduce herself, and then we can share it. There she is. Hi, Adrienne.
Oh my God. I've seen you in 100 years.
I know. We are thrilled. This is Tom, Adrienne.
Hi, Adrienne.
So Adrienne, I don't know if you remember this. I'm going to share my memory of how you and I know each other. Okay.
Okay.
This is my memory. And I have a tendency, I fluff things up, but this is my memory because I love you.
I love you more.
My memory is that we met on LinkedIn. which I have to say, I haven't always had the best experiences with, because I feel like a lot of men use it as a dating site, right?
That's true.
But
Really?
on LinkedIn, we connected and I looked you up, right? And I was like, look what this woman has done. I was fascinated by you. I immediately bought your book because I love any kind of dialogue about honesty. Like, let's just tear that Band-Aid off. Let's just talk about things. Then here's the part you don't know. Maybe you and I started communicating, right? I was still living in Florida at the time, still working at HSN. So I was in my headspace of wanting to move to New York. I don't know if you know this, but you were part of the catalyst that helped me see that I could move to New York, because you had a dialogue with me and you said, listen, you just have to go. You just have to go there, show up. And you said, I've got some connections. I can help you get some auditions. And that's all I needed to hear to go, you know what? You know what? Because I was over 50. I'm 60 now. I was over 50 years old. And all I needed to hear was someone that I respected say, try.
Yeah.
And so thank you for opening that door for me, because you were a catalyst in what has become my glorious future.
Well, thank you, because you have been, I appreciate that story. And I had a little, I think I kind of knew that. I might not have recalled it, on my own, but
yeah,
definitely, I remember us talking about it, and just for, I know we haven't been in touch, but always thinking of you. It's not that, it's more just the way things have gone. Always welcome and love seeing when your name pops up. And I'm just grateful for the friendship that we've had. And I hope now that we can go out and see each other, that maybe we'll do some more things. I hope.
Yes. Well, and I was telling Tom that when I moved to New York in 2013, and you had a premiere of the film you were working on, Little Ballers, right?
Yes.
And you invited me, and it was my first invitation to something real like that. And I just remember thinking, wow, I just met Adrienne and she's already so welcoming. And I remember showing up there and I felt very New York, at that moment.
Well, the interesting thing, just to fast forward from that, the kid who the movie was featured, Cole Anthony, is now a starting guard on the Orlando Magic.
What?
That's amazing. That's amazing.
It was about Cole Anthony, and he just started with them, I guess, when the season started last fall.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
Where can people watch Little Ballers? Where is it available at now where people can view that? Do you know?
I will have to find out, because I think it's YouTube, but let me check with Crystal, because I'm not 100% sure. I get asked that question pretty often.
I was
went on and did a girls version with Skylar Diggins from she was Notre Dame, and then she was on the Dallas Wings.
Wow.
And she just had a baby, and they used to call her, the female Michael Jordan and all that stuff. So it was just a great time, and I'm so glad you were there to share that with us. And,
it was so good.
To fast forward to him now being pro.
Yeah.
I was watching the preview, and it said 2 million kids play high school basketball and 50 a year make it to the pros or something like that. It was very good.
It's an amazing doc. I hope you are able, because especially if you see Cole, he was 11.
Wow.
So you consider now he's 20. Yeah, that's the timing, because that would have been when you moved. And a pro. Maybe he might be 21, but because he went to UNC, and he went to a post grad year and so on. So we're very proud. And now his father is actually stepfather is running for mayor of New York.
What?
Ray McGuire. Yeah.
You're kidding. Okay, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so I'm going all over the place. Anyway, it's great to see you and great to meet you, Tom.
Yes.
Nice meeting you, Adrienne. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Again, don't you think that shows what a small world it really is, Adrienne? I've recognized that the older I get, the world is very, very connected in so many different ways.
So it's just remarkable.
Yeah. Well, I'm very excited to ask you about your book, because I really wanted to hear the personal side of it. I was telling Tom, this book is about why women cheat. It's not why men cheat, it's why women cheat, which I don't think is discussed enough.
Right.
I think my personal history with my female friends is we were very open about our sex lives and our boyfriends and our husbands. And I think men would be surprised how open women are about wanting to have a great relationship with their spouse, but that at a certain point, if it doesn't feel like it's going to happen, off we go, because I feel like we try. So you tell me what your experience is and what you learned about women, because that's my belief.
I will tell you the experience, and I'm sad to announce that my writing partner, Stephanie, passed away about 2 years ago.
Oh.
And that's sad, but we wrote this book. We were living in Scarsdale. Well, I probably shouldn't say. We're living in Westchester County.
Yes.
And sort of noticing how things were changing in our neighborhood.
Okay.
You know, I would go to the parent teacher meetings. I would always go, and I'd meet her for a drink after. I was like, well, why didn't you come? Listening to speech. And I just sort of, I said, you know, I was just at the, you know, parent teacher meeting, and, you know, Sally and Sam showed up, you know, with two different, you know, spouses or two different mates. And it was just like, and she said, and then I said I was sitting, because I have twins. So I would be at one desk, and then I'd be at another desk. And then these other two people would show up with different partners and stuff. And one woman left her investment banker husband for the piano teacher. And we're just going, like, wow. And so that's sort of where we literally wrote it out on a cocktail napkin while we were having, as they say, pink drinks. I guess that's why the cover is pink. You know, we said, and she had written some books before, not nonfiction. Her books were fiction. So she says, let me just call my agent and see. And they were like, oh, okay, whatever. Let's write something. Okay, I'll write something up. I'm like, I heard this story, that story. We wrote up the stories. We wrote up our own stories.
Yeah.
So anyway, we wrote this out. Her agent said, okay, write something up. We wrote something up, sent it in, boom. Nobody's thinking anything twice about it. You know, we're just like, okay. I will say within the week, we got a call. Can you meet with these people at Hyperion Books? I'm laughing. I'm like, sure, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, they want you to come down to the offices, you know, and meet with them and talk about the book. I'm sitting here going, like, I wasn't really taking this thing all that seriously. So I don't know where I'm gonna find these people, but whatever. I'd come out of, you know, I'd produced talk shows and stuff, Phil Donahue and other shows. And I was like, I can probably find these people. So we go down to the meeting. They're like, well, we'd like to, you know, give you an advance and a contract and all this stuff, you know, to write this book. And I'm sitting here going, like, I'm going, like, I don't know how I'm going to find these people. Like, who am I going to ask?
Right.
Did you cheat on your husband, or did your mother cheat on you there, you know, on your father, or whatever? And at the time I had done talk. I had already been at Nickelodeon. I mean, I knew I could do it. It's just like, how am I going to do this? I'm like, sure, I know these people. I could probably come up with like 50 people right off the top of my head, blah, blah, blah. And so we leave and we go back. We'd had a car service and we get in the car. I'm like, how are we going to do this?
Yeah.
You know, and so she's like, okay, fine. I said, because she's more of a writer, I'm like responsible for finding the people.
Right.
You know, because I'm a producer and I can find these people. I'm like, you know, do I take out an ad and, you know, backstage? I don't know what the heck.
Right.
So I, you know, I don't want to make this story longer than it needs to be, but, you know, needless to say, I asked people, I said, listen, the people I asked, I said, listen, I'm writing this book. Can you just tell me about a friend? I don't want to talk to you specifically, but tell me about someone you might know.
Okay.
So everyone was anonymous. Okay. And I don't know if I knew one of the people, because one of the people came up to me when I was doing a book signing. And she was like, I'm Mrs. G or something, whatever it was. I'm sitting there going like this, like, Mrs. God, you know, I don't want to know you, lady. And so hence we wrote the book. And then even before the book came out, you know, we were called to do the Oprah Winfrey Show and GMA and all kinds of press. And it was,
that's exciting.
A whirlwind from there. Yeah.
Yeah. So when the book, so you were even, this was part of the promotional tour, then you were on Oprah before the book even really had an opportunity.
We were so the book came out February of 2005. And so we were on maybe in December of 2004. So it was just a month or two.
Yeah.
Because it seemed, it was like they had an opening.
Yeah.
They wanted to do something with the book. They weren't sure they were going to do something in January. So we were like, hopefully they'll re-air it, which I'll be honest with you, up until probably about 3 or 4 years ago, I've gotten people to say, I remember you on the Oprah Winfrey Show and you wrote this book. And I'm sitting here going like, okay, you have no life, because if you remember an episode of the Oprah Winfrey Show from 2005, that's a problem. So
it's flattering though.
Yes, very. Not taking it for granted. I'm just saying.
Well, and because Adrienne, you're a producer, so I would think your experience would be different than most, because you understand how that rolls, right? What it takes to produce a show and what the topics are. So as a guest, how was that for you?
That's a really, really great question, because I was trying to coach Stephanie, who had never done TV before. And it's not to say I had done TV. I had no desire to be in front of the camera, but I had worked with talent, and coaching them and, hiring coaches and so on. So I knew the art of the soundbite. I'm probably not doing that here today, but, I just sort of knew what to do.
Right.
I know what I would tell my guests.
Exactly.
So I just turned it around and I would say, don't go on, know your top 5 things you want to talk about. Don't go on and on and on and on. And I was born in a little whatever the heck the thing, just make sure to get your what do you want to get across? What do you want people to know about the book? What do you want people to know about yourself? Yeah.
And did you feel like you were able to do that as a guest?
I did. I felt very strongly about it, about the way I was able to respond to the questions. And I knew in my head what I did want to talk about. So the advice I gave to others and I gave to myself, I felt that it really, really panned out well.
Yeah, no, that's really important. And I'm guessing based on how it wasn't part of her book club, was it? It was just part of like a segment. Yeah, I know she does a whole book club thing. I don't know.
No, it was a segment they were doing on infidelity and swinging.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's what I said. I'm like, an episode of Oprah about swinging.
I've met one person in my lifetime that openly talked about being a swinger, and it was fascinating, and they were very honest with their answers. But I will say my personal experience walking away from that was the people that were swinging were not all that happy or satisfied. It was more of a filler for some emptiness that was going on. That was my personal experience.
Great.
Watching.
I concur.
Yeah, that thing. So as far as this book, which I will tell you, Adrienne, I've bought many copies for my friends simply because, well, first of all, I love supporting women that are going out there and achieving things. And I like honest dialogue. I found the book to be very honest. When you guys were talking to people, were people just really easy to, I'm so impressed with that.
Yeah, the people that we chose were very, definitely we interviewed about 60 people, and narrowed it down because I was working full time. I was at Spike TV at the time.
Okay.
And I was developing some series for them. So literally I would work all day and then shut down and start doing interviews, because these interviews were, north of 2 hours.
Okay.
So needless to say, I was recording and I was taking notes because I knew the direction I wanted things to go in.
Okay.
But I didn't want to have to call them back and say, what did you say? An hour or two? I didn't want to do that. But the question, we had 10 questions.
Okay.
That we developed because we knew we wanted them to fit into, a certain
chapters
format. Yeah. And so each person is a chapter. So it's 26 chapters, 26 people, 26 letters in the alphabet.
Yeah.
So, we just wanted to be able to have some kind of a thread, even though they were all different stories, but to be able to respond to these different questions. What are the reasons why you decided to do this? Do you have children? Do you live in the suburbs? Do you work outside the home? Does your husband, come home from work and, you're home, with a full 5-course dinner on the table? Things like, what are the things because there's at some point you get the disconnect.
Yeah.
When you start asking those general kind of questions, there's a point where it's like, I took that plate and threw it across the room. It's like,
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Now I get, now that's where, once that happens,
Yeah.
that's where the interview really starts.
Yes.
Why did you throw the plate across the table?
Yes.
Why did you lock him out of the house?
Right.
Why was he sleeping in the couch?
Yes.
Those are the kinds of things
Yes.
that triggered, the stories that we wanted to hear. Yes.
Now, Tom, as a man, what would you like to know about? Or do you have any questions about why women cheat, or do you feel like you know?
No. This is all very interesting. Do you think all these people would have divorced had they been able to get away cleanly, or do they stay in the relationship for financial or for family reasons? Because I think once you start cheating, you're pretty much done with the relationship.
Nope. I will say 50-50. I will say if I were able to reach these people now, I would say half divorced, half did not. Because women will stay in a marriage more readily when there's cheating going on her behalf than a man. So basically, if a man finds out his wife cheats, he's out. Bye, sayonara. Another man had my woman. I'm saying that.
Yeah.
Whereas a woman finds out that her husband has cheated, it's different because it's like, I don't want to break up my family. He cheated once, maybe I don't trust him as much, but I still love him. He still loves me. We've talked it out. We figured out whatever.
Right.
We don't want to, because I found that women can cheat without as much consequence. Okay. In other words, and I would say to people, they could get up in the morning, get breakfast together, get their kids off to school, go to work, have lunch, go to a hotel, have an affair, go back to work, finish the day, go home. And it seems as though they're able to do it. I don't want to say easier. It's just that men seem to get caught because they just do something stupid.
Yeah.
They leave the hotel bill out, or
Right.
They leave well, I guess now with cell phones and so on, there's a text message or something. Whereas women just seemed to be a good deal more discreet.
Yeah. I really felt like from the book, Adrienne, that the women, once they got involved in an affair, they knew exactly what it was.
Right.
They weren't confused about it. They weren't, am I in love? They were like, this is what this is. And I think they were able to compartmentalize.
Yes.
At least that's what I felt.
Absolutely.
Now,
Definitely. Sorry.
well, were they cheating for emotional connection or physical desire, or were they just cheating just because they knew this would upset their husband?
All of the above.
Hmm.
If you consider 26 stories, yes, all of the above. They fit into different buckets and different categories because women are different. It might be my husband comes home and puts on the TV and doesn't pay attention. And not to say he's cheating. He might not be doing anything. He just doesn't feel like doing anything.
Yeah.
Maybe he is cheating, and then it's revenge.
Ugh,
Maybe there's an illness. In one case, one of the women we spoke to realized she was gay. I mean, what do you do then?
Yeah.
yeah.
So there are all different kinds of reasons, just like there's all different kinds of reasons for anything that we do. It's just that I don't think you can put a nail and say, women cheat because of X, Y, Z.
Mm-hmm.
How about advice for a man to encourage her, so that seed doesn't get planted in their wife's head?
I don't know. It's so funny you say that, Tom, because I had friends of mine who were reading the book, and they hid it. They put it in a cover, a book,
Right?
So the husbands wouldn't know they were reading it.
Yeah.
And the men that read it, the same.
Huh.
So what I don't know if I can give advice because your relationship, and I think if your partner is cheating at some point. There's something that just changes. It's as they say, they lose weight, or they get hair plugs, or whatever it is.
Right.
Or they buy a red sports car. That's probably a little more cliche than,
Yeah.
but maybe not. Maybe they buy a brand
Right.
new Tesla. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I can say if there's advice. I think communication, definitely, sort of asking, look, are we okay? Or,
Right.
I want to be in this marriage. I want to be in this relationship. I don't want to cheat. I don't want you to cheat. What can we do to make that not happen? Can we go away, or,
It's a
send
great
the kids
conversation.
away, or just communicate, because you do get crazy. You're over here doing this. You're over here. She's over here doing that. The kids are running around acting crazy. And it's like you don't get that time to sort of connect and say, we are together in this. And yes, it's 10 years. So everybody in the book had to have been married 10 years.
Wow.
What happens at that 10-year mark?
Yeah.
Okay, like you see, like we just did on the show. I work on the Tamron Hall show. And we just did something. These people renew their vows every 5 years, because they're just going like, is this, and they said a couple of the times they waited and they didn't renew them. Mary waited 6 years because things weren't going so well.
Right.
But we're committed.
I think that checking in is so key. Where are we at? Because I remember when I was married 18 years. I don't know if there was any cheating, but we got divorced. But between work and the kids, we weren't doing date nights. The whole, you got to check in, see where we're at, and carve out time, because it's easy to start focusing on the animals and kids and work, and not on the relationship.
You can feel that pull away too, and that's when you want to, you've got to work on it, and you've got to come back, and it does take work.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, we had talked about that, how, we're taught to learn on a lot of levels, but the level we've not been taught is that you must continuously learn how to be in a good marriage. And it's not something that's commonplace here, that we work on that relationship, because I think there's a lot of assumptions. We were talking before you came on, Adrienne, about the assumption of what monogamy means, that how many couples before they actually decide to get married or even move together and say, what's your idea of what a monogamy is? What's acceptable to you? I never, and not in one of my relationships did I ever have that conversation about what is monogamy to you, because I assumed things that turned out to not be true.
Exactly. And I think you have to define that.
Yeah.
What is monogamy? If I have dinner with Tom,
yes,
and I'm married, is that okay?
Right.
It might not be in some cases.
Right.
And in other cases, you have to deal with Tom, Dick, and Harry. It doesn't matter. It's sort of, even if we're talking podcast or business or whatever it is, or just, someone might, what? I don't know. I don't know Tom, and I'm not comfortable.
Yeah.
Or go on ahead. But if I go out with Melina, if I go out with, it's sort of like, is that okay? I might say no. Yeah, but you just said it's okay. It's okay for me to go out with Tom, but it's not okay for her husband to go out with you. Yeah. Where is that? Do we go together? Maybe the three of us all go together. I don't know.
Yes.
I love
those are tough conversations, don't you?
Very tough. Very tough.
No, I love these conversations. I love it. I mean, the title of our little podcast is Unpacking Shit. I love peeling back the onion and see what motivates people to do certain things. Why they're going to do something or not do something, especially relationships are so complicated. Right. It's interesting to see what the thought process is that brought a person to a particular point where they feel the need to cheat. It's interesting.
Right. Well, and not only having the conversation, but being able to hear your partner, because what you were just saying, Adrienne,
right.
I was dating a guy, we were older, and we had the talk in the middle of the relationship because I was going to dinner with a male friend, but I told him, hey, this guy, we're friends. And he said, you know what? I'm not comfortable. And I was surprised, but I said, okay. Not a week later, I find out he's been going to dinner with one of his female friends and not telling me. So when I found out, he tried to give me a hard time, like, oh, come on, she's my friend. I said, okay, this is not working both ways. I happily
it doesn't have to work both ways. It might not. It might be where you accept and you sort of say,
yes.
My guy doesn't like me to go out with men for dinner, but he likes to go out with women for dinner, and I'm going to accept that. Or I'm not going to accept it.
Right.
So that's where the disconnect is. I might say, okay, I hear you.
Yeah.
Or am I going to sneak? And I'm
Right.
going out with Tom for dinner, but I'm not telling
Yes.
Billy Bob over here or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
So did you talk to any women that cheated for a period and then stopped cheating and their husbands never found out?
Yes. Yes. And that was sort of a good thing, that their husbands did not find out. They were
Right.
able to hold their families together, not break up a household. And in some cases, it may have been a physical thing.
Mhm.
If the person may have been sick or something, or
Right.
the person may have traveled away maybe for a job, or the family was getting ready to move and meet with them. And
Mhm.
the person said, you know what, I'm gonna take care of this
Do you
Yeah.
think
my
that
way.
do you think that the cheating enhanced the marriage after it was over?
In some cases.
Mhm.
In some cases, yes.
Huh.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Because I think it heightens your sensuality, maybe. I don't want to say sexuality. I'll say
Right.
sensuality, to sort of say, these are some of the things I need, or these are some of the things I like.
Right.
And I did it over here with Sam. I'm
Right.
going to talk to my hubby and try this, but I'm not going to be, you can't be hanging off the wallpaper, because then
Yeah.
you're hanging the wallpaper off the walls, because people are going to be like,
Where'd you learn that?
where'd you learn that? But see, now we have so many outlets. I learned it on Netflix.
That's right.
I saw it on this show the other day. Okay. Whatever.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it.
No, that's very true. So did you find, Adrienne, after you had this experience, especially since it kind of magically came together, it's not like you spent a lot of years going, I want to write this book.
No.
It magically came together. So since this occurred in your life, when you got on the other side of it, what did you get out of the experience?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I know I didn't cheat on my husband, so I was not in this book, and this was an assignment for me.
Right.
I didn't care about people that cheated until I started doing the research on this book, and I realized that this is happening. It's sad. When I see people that are cheating, men or women, run into friends of mine with other people, and I literally have run away like a house on fire, because I cannot deal with that, because of the research that I did, and because of what I found out.
Interesting.
Because how it breaks the trust level.
Right.
The trust level. That is a big, big, big problem. So I learned a lot. I learned about doing research, like I said, on a topic that I could care less about, honestly.
Yeah.
Until I got into it, and until, to be honest with you, I got a very large advance, you know.
Yeah.
So I was like, I love these people.
Yeah.
All my new best friends.
That's like a deadline in an advance.
Yeah, I know. I was like, oh yes, y'all are great. I mean, that check came in. Tuition was due. Yes. You know. So the motivation, I had a few different motivators, you know, one being I needed the money.
Yeah.
Sure.
Two being this was something that I could do.
Mm-hmm.
Based, and I will say my talk show experience, probably working for the Phil Donahue show, I will say, prepared me for doing this kind of research.
I love Phil.
Yes. So much.
He is
So
the
Adrienne, we
bee's
didn't do this at the beginning. Can you share with Tom and share with our audience a little bit of your experience and your background?
Sure, sure. I'm an attorney by trade. Went to law school long time ago. Never really practiced. I had the twins. My twins are now 34 years old.
Yeah. I know.
My grandchildren, which
Yeah.
is great. Started working as a producer. I worked for John McLaughlin on his show. And you know, I don't like to speak ill of the dead, so I'm not going to say anything about him.
Noted.
Moving on, I worked with Joan London and her husband.
Oh,
That was actually my first job. They had a show called Every Day with Joan London.
Okay.
And I will say what I learned was what not to do on the show.
yikes.
And I adore Joan. I adore her. She's just fabulous. Moving on, somebody called me to fill in for Phil Donahue for a woman. Her name is Alexandra Jewett, fabulous woman. She was going on maternity leave.
Okay.
and they asked me to fill in for her. I was like literally going like started having heart palpitations. The
I
very
love it.
show I produced, I became physically ill.
Oof.
I had to run into the bathroom.
Uh-huh.
I vomited. It was, I couldn't bear, Phil was holding my arm, like walking down, because you would walk out from the offices to, it was on the 8th floor in Studio 8H. And we would walk over and he was like, "Are you okay?" He said, "I'm getting ready to do this live shit." I was sitting there going like,
Yeah.
and my face is green.
Yeah.
My face turned green because I had just like hurled in the bathroom.
Yeah.
We walked in. So they opened, the doors open, the show was live back then, 4:00. The doors open and you sort of part away. And I literally could not walk from there, because then you go and work the phones. The producer has to work the phones.
Okay.
So you go and work the phones. And he went out and did the show. The show was perfect. And I tell people, and what I learned from Phil, is Phil could interview a potted plant
Okay.
for an hour.
Yeah.
And you would just be riveted.
Yeah.
And that's what I learned about giving people the right information for what they need to conduct the interview, getting the research, interviewing the people that are going to be on, what they're going to talk about.
Right.
And just, understanding how it is to make a person like him, because he didn't require much.
Yeah.
You would give him a card, I think it was 5x8 index card. You could do front and back. That was it. Wow. I mean, I sit up here now and I'm giving like, the World Book Encyclopedia.
Yeah.
I know that was really antiquated.
Right.
They've got a teleprompter. They've got
right.
in their ear. Yep. They've got, cue cards, chalkboard.
Yeah.
I'll never forget, I worked for this woman named Jane Pratt, and I'll never forget, she was editor of a magazine. I wish I could think of the name of it. And literally, I was like, "What else do you need? What else? I've given you every single thing possible. What else?" So fast forward, I was working there. A friend called and said, "Listen, there's this job opening at Nickelodeon. You should go for it." And it was a head of talent job. I was like, "Okay, what's that?" I had no idea. Interviewed for that job, and as the woman, this wonderful woman named Brown Johnson, who I adore, I interviewed with her, and during the interview, she said, "Can you stay and work today?" And I was like, "That's never happened, but sure."
Wow.
She said, "I'll pay your parking." I was like, "Okay." And the interesting thing about that story was I was under contract to produce the Ricky Lake show, the first one.
Wow.
Oh.
And I literally said to myself, after I'm sitting there going like with Brown, going like, "Yes, I'm going to do this." And I'm like, "How am I going to get out of this other deal?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "I will figure it out. I am sick of dealing with these certain people." I had 2 kids that were little.
Yeah.
And I said, so I called up my lawyer. As soon as I went in the office, she put me in a little office and had all these books and stuff. I was like, "Wait a second." I called the lawyer. I was like, "Get me out of this."
Wow.
So I'm grateful. I stayed there for quite a while. Keenan Thompson, Kel Mitchell, Nick Cannon, Amanda Bynes, the whole Blues Clues, Rugrat, the whole 9.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So left there sometime, maybe 2003. That's when I was working with Spike, writing this book, Spike TV, I should say. I was there for a little bit. I followed one of my mentors. His name is Albie Hecht. Albie created SpongeBob. And I sort of moved where he moved.
Yeah.
But then he kind of went in another direction. He was doing some independent stuff, and I worked independently. I worked at Court TV. I worked at BET. I worked for CTV, which is now Nuvo, which is an English-speaking Spanish channel.
Yeah. And
I went to wrote the book, of course, during that time. Yeah. I worked at HLN. I was there doing talent for quite a bit. I ran Kenny Smith's production company, the basketball player.
Oh.
Gosh, a couple of documentaries. I did one on, well, obviously the Little Baller series.
Yeah.
I did one called The Culture of Proximity for Viacom, which featured Swiss Beats and Alexis Ohanian.
Oh.
And D. Ray McKisson, one of the creators of
Wow.
one of the movements. Another documentary that I produced for Shine, which is Albie Hecht, who I mentioned his name before,
Yeah.
was called The Election Effect. And I interviewed a kid who was a Republican in Nashville, Tennessee,
Okay.
before the election and before he was able to vote. He was 17 and he was not going to turn 18 before the 2016 election. That was amazing.
Wow.
Before that, 05-ish, was asked to produce a film called Dirty Laundry,
Okay.
which starred Jennifer Lewis, Loretta Devine.
Wow.
Oh gosh, this guy is on. He's on 911 right now, and I can't think of his name. He plays Angela Bassett's ex-husband. Oh gosh. Anyway, I can't think of his name.
I'll look him up.
Yeah. Anyway, so that, and then fast forward, a friend of mine asked me to do the show down in Atlanta at Tyler Perry Studios. I'm like, whatever. I wasn't doing anything. I'm like, sure, I'll go. I mean, I always have my side businesses. Which,
Yeah.
Went to Atlanta and I produced a show called Divorce Court.
Oh.
Look at that.
What a gas.
I bet.
And then Tyler Perry Studios, fantastic.
Oh, I bet.
So I was there. I was driving back from Atlanta to New York. A guy calls me from Tamron Hall show. What are you doing? I'm like, I literally said, I'm coming to your office. He said, well, where are you? I said, well, I'm in North Carolina. I was driving back from Atlanta. He said, well, when are you going to get here? I said, well, maybe tomorrow. I think I'm at least 8-9 hours away. He's like, well, come in. I have something for you. And that's how I got to where I am at Tamron. And that was 2019, needless to say. The last year has been a challenge, but It's been good because our ratings have gone up.
Yes. For all of us working in television, you, Tom, and I will say this past year has really changed the way that people are watching their screens, right? I mean, we were very fortunate to be working in an industry that allowed us to continue and to get different viewers that we wouldn't have gotten any other way.
Exactly, because people were home.
Amen.
So there were men who watched the Tamron Hall show. There were children who watched it. There were young people, old people, which we did not have before.
Yeah.
Our target audience was probably women over 50, a lot of retirees, a lot of teachers, nurses, it wasn't. And now, it's basically has sustained us.
Yeah, exactly. And then, so do you feel like where you're at in your career now, Adrienne, is there anything that you have that's like the dream job or the dream position, or it seems like you've done a lot? Is there still things on the horizon that you're like, I still want to do this?
I've done a lot. And I have a side business, which, about where I represent talent.
Mm-hmm.
And I have some really great talent that I'm working with right now. And I'd really like to score a big deal for one of them, like a huge deal.
Yeah.
Or be back on the other side of the desk. Well, I don't know if I should say that. Let me take that back. Let me just say, hoping to score a big talent.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well done.
Well,
thanks for joining us today. You're
Thank
very
you
interesting.
very much. It's fabulous. Thank you, Tom. Pleasure to meet you. And I hope I see you soon. I miss you so much, Melinda.
I know. And it's so funny with social media, right, Adrienne? Because even though we hadn't seen each other physically in a long time, I still feel very much in touch with you, even though we don't get to see each other in real life, which is one of those good and bad things about social media, because it gives the illusion that you're maybe closer than what you really are.
Exactly. And I thank you, and I appreciate your friendship, and I appreciate you so much. And I think I sent you a picture. I tried to send you a picture. I was in DC. I was attending Vernon Jordan's funeral services not too long ago.
Oh.
And you popped up on the TV there in Washington, D.C.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that.
I can't even remember what it was. I was like, that's my girl.
Yeah.
Placido.
Yeah, that happens. No, I always appreciate people reaching out. It's always fun because you forget you do these things, and when they pop up and people reach out, it's such a nice way to
True.
keep in touch.
True. And then, of course I could go on. So I know it's time, and I really probably do need to go. I see my phone is blowing up.
Yes.
But thank
We're
you.
so
Thank you
grateful.
very much.
Thank you so much. It was so good to see you. We'll make some plans to get together in real life real soon as everybody's safe and healthy. And again, what a pleasure being able to talk to you today.
Thank you so much. And it's a pleasure. I appreciate
Thanks, Adrienne.
it. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks.
How nice.
Bye.
Wow. What a career.
Isn't that one of the interesting things about, I don't know how other fields work, but I feel like we're so fortunate in the field that we're in that you do get these opportunities to meet amazing people. And if you're good to people, people will reach out to you. It could be 10 years down the road, right? But people will find you.
But it makes for a more full life anyway, whether you're not doing it for an advantage but it's a good thing to do. Yeah, you're planting seeds. Yes, we're making connections, but that's what makes it full life. I mean, even doing this trivia thing, I said to myself, gosh, I'm going to meet a lot of interesting, fun people just doing this. Whether I'm not going to make a lot of money doing it, but it's going to be fun.
Yeah. It's not always about the money, is it though?
No.
I feel like, I hope we've learned that during the pandemic, that there are other things. Of course, we all need to eat, but at the end of the day,
right.
I want my connections. I want my people. I want my memories of like my connections.
So is Love, Honor, and Betray available on Amazon?
Yes, it is. It's available on Amazon. And I will say the documentary Little Ballers, if you can watch it on YouTube, highly recommended, especially now. I didn't realize that one of the kids was now.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And because I saw it, when it was all just starting, and I have to say, it was such a beautiful story about how you raise your kids and how you connect them, what kind of human beings they're going to turn out to be. It's not necessarily about playing ball, but about raising your kids.
Yeah, it's a process. I mean, sports is great. I mean, yeah, we win and lose, but you lose so much, you learn so much, and so many other things about, getting along with people, meeting people you'd never meet, and, just sportsmanship, things like that. It's all good.
Yeah, really important. Do we have time? You said you were going to share your crazy dating story.
Yeah, I'm going to save that for Monday.
Okay, so we'll do that on Monday. So today's Friday, the 23rd. So I'm Melinda McKinsey.
I'm Tom Wise.
Do you have a little tip you want to wrap us with, or do you feel like, I feel like you've always got some words of wisdom?
It's funny. I'm thinking about, because I had all the family over the weekend.
Yes.
And I just think it's interesting to create a bit of a mindset where, enjoy the moment type of deal. We're all out slot carring, taking long walks. Try not to get ahead of yourself, keep in the moment, and try to maybe make it a positive impression. I don't see my niece but 3 times a year. Sometimes years go by. So it's nice to have that, try to keep your relationships positive and your interactions positive.
Yeah, I love that. Stay in the moment. It's really important.
I enjoy the show. Let's have a great weekend.
Yes. Have a great weekend. Be safe out there, everybody.
That's another one in the can.